The night my brother stole my daughter's money, the house didn't feel robbed. It felt violated. Like someone had walked through our walls and rearranged the air. Mia stood in the hallway with her empty eyes fixed on the floor where her lockbox used to be. No crying, no yelling, just silence so thick it pressed against my ears. "Mom," she said, voice barely there. "It's gone." That was the first snap. Not loud, internal, clean. If you've ever had family treat you like you don't matter, if you've ever watched someone you love be dismissed, minimized, erased by the very people who should have protected them, then you already know this kind of silence. Go ahead and hit like, subscribe if these stories hit close to home. And if you've lived through something like this, you're not alone here. I'm Elena Brooks, 36, operations manager at a financial firm in Phoenix. Divorced. One daughter, no safety net, no second chances. Mia was 13 that year, old enough to understand effort, young enough to still believe effort mattered. She'd been saving for 2 years, pat-sitting birthday cards with $20 bills tucked inside, selling digital sketches to strangers online. She kept the money in a plain manila envelope folded tight, hidden inside a book she never lent out. That envelope held $8,000. Every dollar had a story. Every bill smelled like discipline. The security camera caught everything. 10:42 a.m. The front door opened. My brother Ryan stepped in like he owned the place. No rush, no hesitation. He knew our schedule. He knew I'd be at work. He knew Mia would be at school. He walked straight to her room, pulled the book from the shelf, slid the envelope out, and left. 8 minutes. That's all it took. Mia watched the footage over my shoulder. Her jaw tightened. Her hands curled into fists inside the sleeves of her hoodie. "Why would he do that?" she asked. I didn't answer, because I already knew. Ryan had always been like this, slipping, borrowing, promising, failing, and somehow landing on his feet every time. My parents called it bad luck. I called it a pattern. We drove to my parents' house that evening. The desert light was harsh, the kind that makes everything look exposed. Mia sat in the passenger seat, arms crossed, staring straight ahead. I could hear the dishwasher running through the open window when we pulled up. The sound was oddly cheerful. Ryan was on the couch scrolling his phone. Comfortable, untouched, like nothing had happened. I didn't raise my voice. "Where's Mia's money?" He didn't look up. "What money?" I pulled the phone from my pocket and hit play. The video reflected in the dark TV screen. His face froze. Just for a second. "That's not what it looks like," he said. Mia stepped forward. One step. Brave. Controlled. "You took it," she said. "That's my money. I need it back." He stood up fast. Too fast. His hand came out of nowhere. The sound was sharp, dry. A slap doesn't echo. It lands. Mia stumbled back into me. I felt her cheek against my chest, hot and trembling. My fingers dug into her shoulder through the fabric of her hoodie. That was the second snap. Something permanent. Ryan exhaled like he'd been inconvenienced. She needs to learn not to accuse people. I looked at my parents. My mother's mouth was tight. My father rubbed his temples like this was giving him a headache. "She shouldn't talk to adults like that," my mom said. "You've made her too sensitive." Sensitive. That word again. The family favorite. "She's a kid," my dad added. "You're blowing this out of proportion." Out of proportion. $8,000. A child's face still red. Ryan smirked. "It's not like it was real money. It was just sitting there. Just sitting there. Like it wasn't 2 years of effort. Like it wasn't her future." I felt Mia's fingers tighten around my sleeve. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. She just held on. "Did you take it?" I asked him again. He shrugged. "I needed it more." That was the third snap. The cleanest one yet. I pulled Mia behind me. My voice dropped. Flat. Calm. "Get away from my daughter." My mother scoffed. "Elena, don't be dramatic. You're always like this. Always like this." The gaslighting was muscle memory. Ryan leaned back against the counter, arms crossed. "You act like I robbed a bank." I didn't correct him. I didn't threaten. I didn't explain. I took my daughter's hand and walked out. The car ride home was quiet. Street lights flickered across the windshield. Mia finally spoke when we pulled into the driveway. "I shouldn't have said anything," she whispered. "That sentence broke something in me I didn't know could still break." "No," I said. "You did exactly what you were supposed to do." She nodded, but her eyes didn't believe me yet. Inside the house, the air felt different. The walls felt thinner. I watched her sit at the kitchen table, pressing an ice pack to her cheek, staring at the wood grain like it might explain what just happened. The dishwasher hummed. The clock ticked. My phone buzzed once, a text from my mother. "You've always had a talent for tearing this family apart." I stared at the screen until the words blurred. That was when I knew. This wasn't about money. It never was. It was about who they would protect and who they never would. I turned the phone face down, walked over to Mia, knelt in front of her. "Look at me," I said. She did. "I will never let anyone touch you like that again," I said. "Not him, not anyone." Her lip trembled. Just once. And as I held my daughter in that quiet kitchen, I made a decision so final it scared me. If blood made someone family, they wouldn't have needed excuses. The next morning, I drove back to my parents' house with my hands locked tight on the steering wheel. Not because I was afraid, because I was steady. Mia sat beside me, seatbelt snug across her chest, her cheek faintly bruised under a thin layer of makeup she'd insisted on applying herself. She didn't want them to see. That alone told me how deep the damage already ran. The house looked the same as it always had. Beige walls, trimmed hedges, a place designed to look peaceful from the outside. Inside, the air smelled like coffee and lemon cleaner. My mother liked things to feel fresh even when nothing was. Ryan was already there. Of course he was. He sat at the kitchen counter spinning his phone on the marble like a coin. Relaxed, smiling, like yesterday hadn't happened, like he hadn't crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. My father glanced up from his mug. "What's all this about?" he asked, already tired of us. I didn't sit down. "Where is Mia's money?" Ryan laughed once, short, disbelieving. "You're still on that..." Still. As if time erased theft. "I didn't steal anything," he said. "I borrowed it. Borrowed. The favorite word of people who never intend to return anything." "You didn't ask," I said. He shrugged. "Didn't think I had to. We're family." Family. The word tasted rotten. Mia stepped forward before I could stop her. One step, chin lifted, hands shaking at her sides. "That money was for my computer," she said. "I worked for it. You need to give it back." Ryan's smile thinned. "Sweetheart," he said, voice dripping false patience. "You don't talk to adults about money." "I'm not a baby," she said. "You took it without asking." The room went quiet. I watched Ryan's jaw tighten, watched his hand flex. I knew that look. I'd grown up with it. Before I could move, he turned and struck her. Not hard enough to knock her down, hard enough to teach a lesson. The sound cracked through the kitchen, clean, sharp, final. Mia stumbled back into me. I felt her whole body seize, then lock still like she'd frozen from the inside out. My arms came around her automatically. Protective. Instinctive. I pulled her behind me, my body a wall. "What the hell is wrong with you?" I said. Ryan exhaled like I'd inconvenienced him. She was being disrespectful. I turned to my parents. My mother's lips were pressed into a thin line. Displeased. Not shocked. Not alarmed. Displeased. "She shouldn't provoke him," she said. "You've raised her to be mouthy. Mouthy." My father sighed and set his mug down too hard. "Elena, this is exactly what we're talking about. You make everything a crisis. A crisis. A handprint still blooming on a child's face." "She's sensitive," my mother added. "You've always encouraged that. Kids these days don't know their place." Know their place. Mia's fingers dug into the back of my sweater. I felt her breath hitch once, then disappear into silence. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I looked at Ryan. "Give it back," I said. He leaned against the counter, arms crossed, smug, untouchable. "I don't have it on me," he said. "I'll pay it back when I can." "When I asked," he shrugged. "When things turn around." Things. Always things. Never responsibility. My father waved a hand. "Can we not do this now? This is family business. Family business." As if that made it invisible. Mia shifted behind me. "It's my money," she said again, quieter this time. Ryan's eyes flashed. "I said enough." He stepped toward her. That was when I moved. I pulled her fully behind me, my arm firm across her shoulders. I stood straight, squared my stance, and met his eyes. "Don't," I said. My voice was calm, almost bored. The room felt smaller, like the walls had leaned in to listen. My mother shook her head. "Elena, you're being dramatic." He didn't hurt her, as if pain only counted when bones broke. "She's fine," my father said. "Look at her. Stop turning her into a victim." I felt something settle in my chest then, heavy, solid, unmovable. This was it. This was the moment. I looked at my brother, the man who'd stolen from my child, the man who'd raised his hand to her, the man my parents were still protecting. And I said quietly, clearly, "From this moment on, you are no longer my family." No shouting, no tears, just fact. Ryan blinked. "You don't mean that. I didn't repeat myself." My mother scoffed. "You're choosing this over blood." I turned toward the door, Mia still tucked behind me. "I'm choosing my daughter," I said. My father stood up, then anger finally breaking through his indifference. "If you walk out that door, don't bother coming back." I paused with my hand on the knob. "Noted," I said. Outside the sun was too bright, the air too clear. It felt wrong that the world kept moving. Mia didn't speak until we were halfway home. "Did I do something wrong?" she asked. I swallowed. "No," I said. "You told the truth." She nodded slowly, like she was trying to learn that as a rule. At a red light, I looked over at her, really looked. The faint bruise, the tension in her shoulders, the way she stared straight ahead like she was afraid to take up space. That was when the realization hit me, not like a wave, but like a blade. This family would never protect her. Not today, not ever. And if I didn't draw the line now, I never would. I drove the rest of the way home in silence, already planning what came next. Because love without protection isn't family. It's just a word people hide behind. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was replaying the slap. That part had already burned itself in. I stayed awake because my phone wouldn't stop lighting up. Missed calls from my mother, one text from my father. And at 12:17 a.m., a message from Ryan. This got blown out of proportion. Mia said I could borrow it. "I'll explain tomorrow." Borrow. Explain. Tomorrow. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded the message to Rachel Kim. Rachel and I had met years ago, back when I was still clawing my way up the ladder, working late nights and eating vending machine dinners. She'd gone into corporate compliance, the kind of lawyer who doesn't raise her voice but makes people very nervous. Her reply came 3 minutes later. "Call me. Now." Her apartment smelled like black coffee and printer toner, floor-to-ceiling windows, clean lines, nothing soft about the place. It suited her. She didn't ask how I was. She never did when things mattered. She took my phone, scrolled through the message, and raised one eyebrow. "That's not a normal number," she said. "What do you mean?" She turned the screen toward me. "Look at the prefix. It's not carrier-based. It's app-generated. Fake." My stomach tightened. Rachel opened her laptop, fingers moving fast. Efficient. No wasted motion. "Did Mia ever text him about the money?" she asked. "No." "Does she use any encrypted messaging apps?" "She's 13, I said. She barely remembers her email password." Rachel gave a thin smile. "Good." She ran the number through a lookup tool. The result popped up clean and cold. Burner app. Temporary ID. No billing name attached. Rachel leaned back. He forged consent. The words sat between us like a dropped knife. Forged. I thought of Mia at the kitchen table, ice pack pressed to her cheek, the way she'd asked if she'd done something wrong. My hands curled into fists. Rachel kept going. "I pulled what I could on Ryan before you got here," she said. "You weren't imagining things. He's been flagged before." "For what?" She slid the laptop toward me. 3 complaints. 2 years apart, different companies, falsified contract terms, signatures that didn't match, deposits that vanished. "He's never been charged," Rachel said. "Settlements, quiet exits, employers cutting losses." I scrolled. My pulse stayed steady. Cold. He's currently under internal review at his last firm, she added. That's probably why he needed the money. Needed? Like hunger justifies theft. He's panicking, Rachel said. That text was damage control. My phone buzzed again, another message from my mother. Why are you trying to ruin your brother? He's struggling. Struggling. Rachel watched my face. They're choosing him, she said flatly. I know. She closed the laptop. So this is the moment. I stared at the dark screen. My reflection looked older than I felt. If I report him, I said I lose them. Rachel didn't sugarcoat it. Yes, if I don't, I said my daughter learns that silence keeps the peace. Rachel's gaze softened just a fraction. And that's the lesson that lasts. I drove home alone. The streets were empty. Phoenix at night always felt honest. No distractions, no performances. Mia was asleep when I walked in, curled on her side. One hand tucked under her chin like she was still small. I sat on the edge of her bed and watched her breathe. I thought about all the things I'd swallowed growing up. The excuses, the minimizations, the way my parents always said, that's just how Ryan is. That phrase had trained us all. Trained us to accept. Trained us to endure. Trained us to stay quiet. My phone buzzed again. Ryan, you're really going to do this after everything? I typed back once. Only once. You crossed a line. The reply came immediately. Don't make this worse. Worse. I deleted the thread. The next morning, Mia sat at the kitchen counter while I made eggs she didn't eat. She traced circles on the granite with her fingertip. Am I in trouble? She asked. No, she hesitated. Grandma said I shouldn't have talked back. I stopped cooking. Mia, I said carefully, listen to me. You didn't talk back. You stood up for yourself. Her eyes searched mine. But it made everyone mad. Yes, I said. Sometimes telling the truth does that. She nodded slowly, processing. 13 going on older than she should have been. Are you mad at Uncle Ryan? She asked. I thought of the burner app, the forged consent, the history of lies. No, I said. I'm done being confused about him. She looked relieved by that, like clarity itself was a comfort. Later that afternoon, Rachel called. I pulled the app log, she said. The burner number was created from a device registered to his email. Can you prove it? Yes. That word settled everything. I stood in the living room sunlight cutting across the floor dust floating in the beam. The house felt quiet. Still, I thought about my parents, about how quickly they'd closed ranks, how easily they'd dismissed a child's pain, and I knew deep in my bones that nothing I did would change that. This wasn't about fixing the family. This was about stopping the lesson. I called Rachel back. Let's do it, I said. Police, she asked. Yes. I hung up and went to Mia's room. She was sketching again. Lines sharp, dark, focused. I watched her for a moment before speaking. Hey, I said. She looked up. I'm going to handle this, I said. All of it. You don't need to do anything. She studied my face. Is he going to be mad? I didn't lie. Yes, I said, but that's not your responsibility. She nodded. Then quietly, I don't want to be quiet anymore. That was it. That was the last push. Because if I didn't stand up today, she'd learn that silence was survival, and I refused to teach her that. The police station smelled like disinfectant and old paper, not intimidating, not dramatic, just final. Rachel walked beside me, a slim folder tucked under her arm. Mia stayed home with a neighbor. This wasn't a place for a 13-year-old to learn how adults fail each other. We sat across from a detective with silver-streaked hair and eyes that didn't miss details. She didn't rush us. She didn't soften anything. I spoke slowly, clearly. I'm reporting a theft and an assault. Her pen paused, then moved. I showed her the video first, the grainy clip of Ryan walking into our house like it belonged to him, straight to Mia's room, straight back out, no hesitation. The detective watched it twice. Then I showed her the messages, the fake consent, the burner number. Rachel slid over the documentation, tracing the app back to Ryan's email. Forgery, intent, pattern. Finally, I told her about the slap. I didn't dramatize it, didn't raise my voice, didn't cry. I just said, he struck my daughter when she asked for her money back. The detective's jaw tightened. Just a fraction. She looked at Rachel. "You've done your homework." Rachel nodded. "He has a history. We included records from 2 prior employers." The detective flipped through the folder. Fraud complaints, signature discrepancies, quiet exits that suddenly looked loud when stacked together. "This isn't a misunderstanding," she said. "No, it wasn't. Ryan was summoned the same afternoon. I found out because my phone rang at 3:12 p.m. My mother." "What did you do?" she demanded. No greeting, no pause. "I told the truth," I said. "You called the police on your own brother," she snapped. "Do you know what people will think?" People, always people. I hung up. An hour later, Rachel texted me. "He's been suspended. Internal review just went public. Suspended turned into terminated before the sun went down. The firm didn't like headlines. They liked distance. Ryan had become a liability overnight. By morning, his name was already circulating, quietly, the way things move when doors close instead of slam. The court date came faster than I expected. Family courtrooms aren't built for drama. No grand staircases, no echoing footsteps. Just beige walls and uncomfortable benches. Ryan sat across the aisle from me, suit-wrinkled confidence leaking out of him in small ways. A twitch in his jaw, fingers tapping too fast. He didn't look at me. His lawyer did. A man with a smooth voice and practiced concern, the kind who smiled like everything could still be fixed. "This is a family disagreement," he said. "An internal matter that escalated unnecessarily." Unnecessarily. Rachel leaned toward me. "Watch this," she whispered. The prosecutor didn't rush. She laid it out piece by piece. The video, time-stamped, authenticated, the forged messages, the burner app, the email trace, the prior fraud complaints, the pattern, and then the assault. The room shifted when they mentioned Mia's age. 13. Ryan's lawyer tried to interrupt. There was no intent to harm. The judge raised a hand. "Sit down," she said. Silence snapped into place. Ryan finally looked at me then. His eyes weren't angry. They were scared. For the first time, he wasn't protected by familiarity. He was just another man in a chair with a record catching up to him. The verdict didn't take long. Guilty. The word landed without sound. Ryan was ordered to repay every dollar. Plus penalties, plus fees. His accounts were flagged. Credit frozen pending review. The financial consequences stacked quickly. The judge's voice was steady. "This court does not excuse violence against a minor, nor does it overlook calculated deception." Calculated. That word mattered. When it was over, Ryan slumped back like gravity had finally found him. I didn't look at him again. Outside the courthouse, the sky was painfully blue, too beautiful for the weight that had just lifted. Rachel exhaled. "You okay?" I searched myself for the feeling everyone expects. Relief. Triumph, satisfaction. None of those fit. "I feel lighter," I said. That night I cooked dinner without rushing. The clink of dishes felt ordinary again. Safe. Mia sat at the table drawing. She looked up when I told her it was done. "Is it over?" she asked. "For us?" I said. "Yes." She nodded, then smiled. "Just a little." My phone buzzed once more. A message from Ryan. I never meant for it to go this far. I stared at the words until they lost shape. Then I deleted them. I didn't feel joy watching his life unravel. I felt clarity. There's a difference. Justice doesn't shout. It doesn't celebrate. It just restores balance. And when the noise finally fades, all that's left is quiet. The good kind. The kind where a child can sleep without fear. The kind where a mother can breathe. That was enough. The calls came after the verdict. Not to ask about Mia. Not to ask if she was sleeping. Not to ask if her cheek still hurt. They called to accuse. My mother left the first voicemail. Her voice was tight-clipped, familiar in the way old wounds are. "You betrayed your own family," she said. "You chose strangers over blood." My father followed with a text. "We didn't raise you to destroy your brother. Destroy." I stood in my kitchen phone in my hand, watching the microwave clock blink 12 hijras like it had lost its memory. They never asked why. They never asked how. They never asked what it cost. I didn't respond. I blocked the numbers one by one. Slowly. Deliberately. like closing doors in a house you're finally leaving. That night, Mia watched me from the couch as I set my phone face down. "Are they mad?" she asked. "Yes," I said. She waited. At me. "No," I said. At the truth. She nodded like that made sense. Maybe it did. The silence afterward was strange. Heavy at first, then lighter, like a room after someone stops shouting. We started small. A new envelope. Plain. Unlabeled. Mia slid her first $20 inside like it mattered. Because it did. She made a profile online with my help. Uploaded her drawings, landscapes at first, desert skies, sharp light, strong lines, then people, faces without mouths, eyes that said more than words ever could. Orders came slowly. $10, $15, enough to remind her that effort still worked. Every night she counted the money herself, sat at the table, tongue caught between her teeth, focused. "I'm not hiding it this time," she said. I didn't tell her she never should have had to hide it at all. Life didn't magically get easier. Bills still came, work was still demanding. But the house felt different. Quieter. Safer. No more unexpected knocks. No more bracing for phone calls. No more explanations. Family photos came down, not angrily, just quietly, one frame at a time. Months passed. Ryan disappeared from conversation like he'd never existed. No updates, no apologies that mattered, just absence. I didn't miss him. What I missed was the idea that family meant protection. But that idea had already been broken. All I did was stop pretending it wasn't. 1 year later, I ran into my mother in the parking lot of a grocery store. It was ordinary. Sun-bleached asphalt, shopping carts rattling, someone arguing over a receipt a few rows away. She stood by her trunk keys in hand, older, smaller somehow. Our eyes met. She froze. I didn't. I nodded once, polite, distant, like she was a neighbor I used to know. She opened her mouth, closed it. I turned and kept walking. No speeches, no closure, no looking back. In the car, Mia sat in the passenger seat, her new laptop balanced carefully on her knees. She'd saved most of it herself. I covered the rest without ceremony. She opened it for the first time. The screen lit her face, bright, hopeful. "What should I draw first?" she asked. I watched her think. Then her fingers moved. She drew a house, small, solid, 2 figures inside, close together, no doors, no shadows. I started the engine. As we pulled out of the lot, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Not the fragile kind, the earned kind. Some families have to be lost so another one can be saved. I chose mine.